The ocean covers 71% of Earth's surface, yet we've explored less than 5% of the deep sea. The abyssal depths contain ecosystems more alien than anything on land. Creatures surviving in crushing pressure, total darkness, and near-freezing temperatures have evolved adaptations science struggles to explain. Bioluminescence without known purpose. Bodies defying physics. Lifespans exceeding centuries. These organisms challenge our understanding of biology itself. These are 10 deep-sea creatures scientists cannot fully explain, revealing how little we know about the largest ecosystem on Earth. Case number 1. Giant squid, Architeuthis ducks. The giant squid, Architeuthis ducks, is one of the largest invertebrates on Earth, reaching lengths over 40 feet. For centuries, these creatures existed only in sailors' tales and beach strandings. No living specimen had been photographed until 2004, when Japanese researchers captured the first images. Even now, with video documentation, giant squid remain profoundly mysterious. Scientists cannot explain fundamental aspects of their biology and behavior despite decades of research. Giant squid have the largest eyes of any animal on Earth, up to 10 inches in diameter. These enormous eyes presumably detect bioluminescent prey or predators in the deep ocean darkness. But the specific evolutionary pressures that created eyes this large remain unclear. The visual acuity provided by such massive eyes suggests they're detecting something science hasn't identified. What are they watching for in the abyss that requires eyes larger than dinner plates? The squid's nervous system is equally mysterious. They possess the largest brain of any invertebrate, with complex neural structures suggesting sophisticated cognition. Their arms contain independent neural processing centers, allowing each limb to act semi-autonomously. This distributed intelligence creates a nervous system fundamentally different from vertebrates. How this neural architecture produces behavior and whether giant squid possess consciousness comparable to vertebrates remains unknown. Giant squid reproduction is completely unknown. No one has observed mating, egg-laying, or parental care. Females carry thousands of eggs, but where they deposit them and how larvae develop remains a mystery. Dead specimens wash ashore, and occasional videos show adults hunting, but the complete life cycle has never been documented. For an animal this large to have such a mysterious reproductive biology seems impossible, yet remains fact. The ecological role of giant squid is unclear. They're prey for sperm whales based on scars and stomach contents, but their own diet, hunting strategies, and population size are unknown. How many giant squid exist in the ocean? Scientists have no reliable estimates. Are they rare or common? Do they hunt individually or in groups? These basic ecological questions remain unanswered. Most puzzling is their intelligence. Captured on camera, giant squid display what appears to be curiosity and complex behavior. They investigate submersibles, manipulate objects, and employ sophisticated hunting tactics. Yet without prolonged observation, scientists cannot assess their cognitive capabilities. The giant squid represents how even well-known creatures can remain fundamentally mysterious when they inhabit environments humans cannot easily access. Despite being featured in museums and documentaries, giant squid biology remains largely unknown, proving the deep ocean keeps its secrets even for its most famous inhabitants. Case number 2. Vampire squid, Vampiroteuthis infernalis. Vampiroteuthis infernalis translates to vampire squid from hell. This small deep-sea cephalopod lives at depths of 2,000 to 3,000 feet, where oxygen levels are minimal. The vampire squid is not actually a squid or an octopus, but represents an entirely separate order called Vampiromorpha. It's the only surviving member of this ancient lineage, making it a living fossil. Scientists struggle to explain how this creature survives in conditions that would kill most marine life. The vampire squid inhabits the oxygen minimum zone, where dissolved oxygen is so scarce that most organisms cannot survive. Its metabolism is extraordinarily slow, operating at rates that seem impossible for an active predator. The squid's blood contains special proteins that extract oxygen more efficiently than hemoglobin, allowing survival in near-anoxic water. But how its brain and nervous system function with so little oxygen defies current understanding of neural tissue requirements. When threatened, the vampire squid turns itself inside out, pulling its webbed arms over its body, revealing spines. This defensive display is unique among cephalopods. The purpose and effectiveness of this behavior remain unclear. It simultaneously exposes and protects the animal in ways that seem contradictory. The squid also produces bioluminescent mucus that it ejects when disturbed, creating clouds of glowing particles. The chemistry and purpose of this luminescent defense are incompletely understood. The vampire squid's diet surprised scientists. Unlike predatory squid, it feeds on marine snow detritus falling from surface waters. It uses sticky filaments to collect organic particles, then draws the filament through its arms to harvest food. This feeding strategy is unique among cephalopods and raises questions about how it obtains sufficient nutrition from decomposing material. Marine snow contains minimal calories, yet vampire squid survive and reproduce on this diet alone. Reproduction in vampire squid is mysterious. Females produce relatively few large eggs, unlike most cephalopods. The eggs develop slowly, taking many months to hatch. How larvae survive and where they develop remains unknown. Scientists have never observed mating or documented complete development. For a creature that's been studied for decades, this gap in knowledge is remarkable. Most puzzling is the vampire squid's evolutionary history. Genetic analysis suggests it split from other cephalopods over 300 million years ago. It survived multiple mass extinctions that eliminated related species. Why this particular lineage survived when others went extinct is unexplained. The vampire squid represents an ancient body plan that somehow remained viable while the world changed around it. Its continued existence in one of Earth's harshest environments, while using outdated biology challenges, assumptions about evolutionary adaptation and survival. The vampire squid proves that science still cannot explain how some organisms persist against all apparent odds. Case number 3, Barreleye fish, Macropinna microstoma. The barreleye fish, Macropinna microstoma, possesses one of the strangest adaptations in the ocean. Its head is completely transparent. The skull is a clear dome, revealing the brain, eyes, and internal structures. The two green orbs visible inside the transparent head are its eyes, which point upward, looking through the skull. This bizarre anatomy was discovered in 1939, but scientists still cannot fully explain its purpose or how it functions. The barreleye's eyes are tubular, pointing straight up. This orientation allows the fish to detect prey silhouetted against faint light from above, but the eyes cannot move within the transparent head, limiting the fish's field of vision. To look forward, the entire fish must rotate. This seems like a severe disadvantage for a predator. How the barreleye successfully hunts with such restricted vision remains unclear. The transparent head is filled with fluid. This fluid is clear like water, allowing light to pass through while protecting the delicate eyes from the stinging cells of jellyfish. The barreleye feeds on small organisms captured by siphonophores. It steals prey from jellyfish tentacles without being stung because its head fluid shields the eyes. But why transparency is necessary for this strategy is unexplained. Other fish rob jellyfish without transparent skulls. The structure maintaining transparency defies material science. Biological tissues are rarely transparent. Bone, cartilage, and skin typically absorb or scatter light. The barreleye's dome is transparent enough to see through clearly, yet strong enough to withstand deep-sea pressure. The composition and maintenance of this transparent tissue remain incompletely understood. How does the fish repair damage to the dome? Does it regenerate? These questions lack answers. The barreleye was only filmed alive in 2004. Before that, scientists knew the species only from damaged specimens caught in nets. The fragile, transparent dome was always destroyed during collection. Live video revealed the eyes can rotate forward when feeding, contradicting earlier assumptions. This discovery was made 75 years after the species was first described, showing how little we understood. Most mysterious is the dome's evolutionary origin. No other fish has this adaptation. What evolutionary pressures created a transparent skull? How many generations did this take? The selective advantage must be significant to justify such a complex structure, but scientists cannot identify what specific survival benefit outweighs the obvious vulnerabilities. The barreleye fish demonstrates that even well-studied organisms can possess features science cannot adequately explain. Its transparent head works, but researchers still don't fully understand why or how evolution produced such a unique solution to predation in the deep sea. Case number 4, frilled shark, Chlamydosilicus anguineus. The frilled shark looks like it swam directly from the age of dinosaurs. With its eel-like body and primitive features, it resembles sharks from 300 million years ago. Called a living fossil, the frilled shark has changed little over geological time. Scientists cannot explain how this ancient predator survived mass extinctions and environmental changes that eliminated countless other species. Its existence challenges assumptions about evolutionary progress and adaptation. The frilled shark has 25 rows of teeth with over 300 needle-like points arranged in backward-facing rows. These teeth are designed to snag soft-bodied prey like squid and fish. Once caught, prey cannot escape because the teeth angle inward. But the feeding mechanism is poorly understood. How does the shark manipulate prey with these fixed teeth? How does it swallow large squid? Stomach contents show they eat substantial prey, but the biomechanics of feeding with this tooth arrangement remain mysterious. The shark's jaw structure is primitive. Unlike modern sharks, the frilled shark's jaw is not as specialized for the powerful biting modern species employ. Its skull and jaw represent an ancient design that should be inferior to modern shark anatomy. Yet the frilled shark successfully hunts in environments where modern sharks also exist. How does an outdated jaw design remain competitive? This contradicts evolutionary theory suggesting newer adaptations should outcompete old ones. Reproduction in frilled sharks is extraordinarily slow. Females may be pregnant for 3.5 years, the longest gestation of any vertebrate. They produce small litters of only a few pups. This reproductive strategy seems disadvantageous. Slow reproduction should make the species vulnerable to population decline, yet frilled sharks persist across all oceans. How they maintain viable populations with such low reproductive rates is unexplained. The species' metabolic rate is extremely low. Living at depths up to 5,000 feet where food is scarce, the frilled shark operates with minimal energy expenditure. Its slow metabolism allows survival on infrequent meals. But how it powers hunting bursts and reproduction with so little energy input defies calculations. The energy budget doesn't balance based on current understanding of shark metabolism. Most puzzling is why evolution hasn't changed the frilled shark. Natural selection should continuously modify species, yet this shark looks nearly identical to fossils from the Cretaceous period. What environmental stability allowed this design to persist for millions of years? The deep ocean has changed dramatically, including temperature, oxygen levels, and prey availability. How did the frilled shark remain viable through all these changes without significant modification? The frilled shark proves that science cannot explain why some species evolve rapidly while others remain frozen in time for hundreds of millions of years. Case number 5, Goblin Shark, Mitsukarina austoni. The goblin shark is one of the strangest predators in the ocean. With its elongated snout, protruding jaws, and pink coloration, it looks like a creature from nightmares. Living at depths below 3,000 feet, the goblin shark is rarely encountered. Only a few dozen specimens have been studied. Scientists cannot explain fundamental aspects of its biology, including how its unique anatomy functions and what ecological role it fills. The goblin shark's most distinctive feature is its extendable jaw. The jaws can project forward from the head at incredible speed to capture prey. This slingshot feeding mechanism is unique among sharks. The biomechanics of jaw extension are partially understood, but the sensory integration required to aim accurately remains mysterious. How does the shark know when to extend its jaws in the dark? What triggers the strike? The elongated rostrum or snout is covered with electroreceptors called ampullae of Lorenzini. These organs detect electrical fields produced by living organisms. The goblin shark's rostrum is proportionally longer than any other shark, suggesting enhanced electrical detection. But what specifically it's detecting and at what range remains unknown. Laboratory testing is impossible because no goblin shark has survived capture. Our understanding comes entirely from dead specimens. The shark's pink color results from blood vessels visible through translucent skin. Most deep-sea animals are dark-colored. Why the goblin shark has translucent skin is unexplained. Does transparency provide camouflage in certain environments? Does it serve thermal regulation? The evolutionary advantage of being pink in the deep ocean is unclear. Goblin sharks are found worldwide, but population size is unknown. Are they rare or just rarely seen? Their depth range suggests they're widespread, but catch rates are extremely low. Whether this reflects genuine rarity or simply indicates we don't fish their preferred habitats cannot be determined. Scientists have no population estimates, no understanding of their migration patterns, and no knowledge of their breeding grounds. The evolutionary relationships of goblin sharks are mysterious. They're the sole surviving member of the family Mitsukarinidae, which dates back 125 million years. All related species went extinct. Why the goblin shark survived while similar species disappeared is unexplained. What niche does it occupy that protected it from extinction? Most troubling is our complete ignorance of behavior. Every aspect of how goblin sharks live is unknown. Do they hunt actively or ambush prey? Are they solitary or social? How long do they live? These basic biological questions have no answers because living goblin sharks have never been observed in their natural habitat. The goblin shark exemplifies how deep-sea creatures can be so inaccessible that even basic biology remains a complete mystery despite being known to science for over a century. Case number 6, deep-sea anglerfish, extreme sexual dimorphism. Deep-sea anglerfish exhibit the most extreme sexual dimorphism in nature. Females grow to over 3 feet long, while males are tiny, often less than 2 inches. The size difference is remarkable, but the reproductive strategy is what scientists find inexplicable. Males permanently fuse to females in a parasitic relationship that defies conventional biology. The mechanism and evolutionary origin of this bizarre mating system remain poorly understood. When a male anglerfish finds a female, he bites into her body. His mouth fuses with her skin, and their circulatory systems merge. The male's body degenerates, losing eyes, fins, and most internal organs. He becomes essentially a sperm-producing appendage attached to the female. Multiple males can fuse to a single female. The female provides nutrients, while males provide sperm on demand. This permanent fusion was so strange that when first discovered, scientists thought the males were parasites, not mates. The immunological implications are staggering. When tissues from different individuals fuse, the immune system typically rejects foreign tissue. This is why organ transplants require immunosuppressant drugs, yet anglerfish males and females fuse without rejection. Their immune systems must be modified to allow permanent tissue grafting. How this works at the molecular level is incompletely understood. The mechanism could revolutionize transplant medicine if decoded. The evolutionary pathway to this strategy is mysterious. How did this parasitic mating evolve? What intermediate steps led to permanent fusion? The strategy seems so extreme it's difficult to imagine how natural selection produced it gradually. The first males to attempt fusion would likely have been rejected and died. How did the behavior become established when early attempts should have failed? The female's bioluminescent lure is equally mysterious. A fleshy growth extends from the head, containing bioluminescent bacteria. The light attracts prey in the darkness. But why bacteria produce light is unclear. What evolutionary advantage do bacteria gain from bioluminescence? The symbiotic relationship between anglerfish and bacteria involves the fish providing nutrients while bacteria provide light. But the specifics of this exchange and how it evolved remain unknown. Most anglerfish species are known from only a few specimens. Population sizes, distribution ranges, and basic ecology are unknown. Scientists cannot explain how anglerfish populations remain viable given their bizarre reproductive strategy. Finding a mate in the vast dark ocean seems impossible, yet the strategy has persisted for millions of years. The energy budget of female anglerfish is mysterious. They support their own metabolism, plus that of multiple fused males, plus the energetic cost of producing and maintaining the bioluminescent lure. In the deep sea where food is extremely scarce, how do they obtain sufficient energy? Calculations suggest they should starve, yet they persist. The anglerfish demonstrates that nature can produce solutions so alien that science struggles to explain how they function, let alone why they evolved. Case number 7, giant isopod, Bathynomus giganteus. Giant isopods are enormous relatives of pill bugs growing up to 16 inches long. They exemplify deep-sea gigantism, where species grow much larger than shallow water relatives. Scientists cannot fully explain why deep-sea organisms frequently become giants. Multiple theories exist, but none completely accounts for the phenomenon. Giant isopods represent one of the most dramatic examples of this unexplained pattern. The giant isopod's size seems to violate biological principles. Arthropods are typically limited by their exoskeleton and respiratory system. Larger bodies require more oxygen, but crustacean gills become less efficient at larger sizes. How giant isopods overcome these physiological constraints is unclear. Their oxygen consumption rates and metabolic processes are poorly studied because keeping them alive in laboratories is difficult. Giant isopods can survive years without food. Specimens in aquariums have gone over 5 years without eating. This starvation resistance seems impossible. How do they maintain basic cellular functions without energy input for years? What metabolic tricks allow survival during such extreme fasting? Even hibernating animals consume some energy. Giant isopods apparently reduce metabolism to near zero levels science cannot yet measure. When food is available, giant isopods are voracious scavengers. They consume fish carcasses and other organic material that falls to the ocean floor. Their feeding behavior is aggressive and opportunistic. But how they locate carcasses in the vast empty deep ocean is mysterious. Do they detect chemical trails? How far can they sense food? The sensory mechanisms allowing them to find rare food sources have not been fully characterized. Reproduction in giant isopods is unusual. Females carry eggs in a pouch beneath their body until they hatch. The number of eggs is small compared to shallow water relatives. Hatching takes weeks or months depending on species. But mating behavior has never been observed. How do these solitary animals find mates in the sparse deep-sea environment? What signals or behaviors facilitate reproduction? These questions remain unanswered. The evolutionary history of giant isopods is poorly known. When did they become giants? Were their ancestors also large, or did gigantism evolve multiple times independently? Fossil evidence is scarce. Understanding the evolutionary pressures that selected for increased size would help explain deep-sea gigantism generally, but the evidence is insufficient. Most mysterious is their apparent immortality. Giant isopods show no obvious signs of aging. Whether they have maximum lifespans or can potentially live indefinitely is unknown. Their growth patterns suggest they may continue growing throughout life without senescence. If confirmed, this would place them among a small group of potentially immortal animals. But studying lifespan in creatures that live thousands of feet deep is nearly impossible. The giant isopod demonstrates that basic questions about growth, metabolism, and lifespan can remain unanswered even for animals that have been studied for over a century. Case number 8. Dumbo octopus. Grimpoteuthis, Dumbo octopuses of the genus. Grimpoteuthis are the deepest living octopuses known, living at depths up to 23,000 feet. They're named for ear-like fins that resemble the cartoon elephant. These adorable cephalopods face environmental extremes that should make complex life impossible. Scientists cannot explain how their nervous system, metabolism, and reproduction function under crushing pressure in near-freezing darkness. At these depths, pressure exceeds 11,000 pounds per square inch. This should denature proteins and disrupt cellular membranes. Yet Dumbo octopuses function normally. Their biochemistry must be specially adapted to high pressure, but the specific molecular modifications remain poorly understood. Studying these adaptations requires capturing specimens, which is extremely difficult. Most knowledge comes from dead animals in poor condition. Dumbo octopuses have no ink sac, unlike shallow water octopuses. The defensive ink cloud would be useless in the dark abyss. But what defenses do they employ against predators? They have no hard beak, no venom, no camouflage ability. They appear defenseless yet survive in an environment with numerous predators. How they avoid being eaten is mysterious. The octopuses swim by pulsing their ear-like fins and undulating their webbed arms. This swimming method is unique among octopuses. Most species use jet propulsion. The energetic efficiency of Dumbo octopus swimming has never been measured. Is it more or less efficient than jetting? Why did this lineage evolve a different swimming method? These biomechanical questions lack answers. Dumbo octopuses feed on small crustaceans and worms that live on the seafloor. They hover above the bottom and pounce on prey. But how they detect prey in total darkness is unknown. They lack the sophisticated eyes of shallow water octopuses. What sensory systems guide hunting? Chemical detection? Tactile sensing? The sensory biology of Dumbo octopuses is barely studied. Reproduction has never been observed. Females carry eggs at various developmental stages, suggesting they reproduce continuously rather than seasonally. But mating behavior, egg development time, and larval dispersal are completely unknown. How do these solitary animals find mates in the vast abyssal plain? Most mysterious is their apparent simplicity. Shallow water octopuses are highly intelligent with complex behavior and learning abilities. Dumbo octopuses have smaller brains and simpler nervous systems. Have they lost intelligence as an adaptation to the deep sea? Or do they possess cognitive abilities we haven't detected? Testing intelligence in deep-sea organisms is nearly impossible, but the question remains whether extreme environments force evolutionary trade-offs that reduce cognitive capacity. The Dumbo octopus shows that even basic questions about sensory biology, feeding, and behavior cannot be answered for species living at extreme depths. Case number 9. Blobfish, Cycrolutes marketus. The blobfish became an internet sensation when photographs of dead specimens revealed a gelatinous glob resembling a grumpy human face. But the blobfish's appearance when alive is completely different. The blob form results from pressure changes during capture. Living blobfish look like normal fish. Scientists cannot fully explain how blobfish survive at extreme depths or why their bodies are so dramatically affected by pressure changes in ways other deep-sea fish are not. Blobfish live at depths of 2,000 to 4,000 feet, where pressure is 100 times greater than at the surface. Their bodies contain minimal muscle and no swim bladder. The tissue is gelatinous with density slightly less than water, allowing them to float above the seafloor without expending energy. This strategy makes sense in the deep sea, where food is scarce and energy conservation is critical. But the biochemistry of gelatinous tissue that functions under extreme pressure is poorly understood. When brought to the surface rapidly, the pressure drop causes catastrophic tissue damage. The blobfish's body expands and deforms, creating the famous blob appearance. This pressure sensitivity seems greater than other deep-sea fish. Why are blobfish so vulnerable to decompression? What about their tissue structure makes them particularly susceptible? These questions remain unanswered. Blobfish are ambush predators. They sit motionless, waiting for small invertebrates to drift within reach. This sedentary lifestyle requires minimal energy. But how they detect prey without moving is mysterious. Their eyes are small and presumably provide limited vision in the darkness. What sensory systems alert them to nearby food? How do they capture fast-moving prey without powerful muscles? The feeding biomechanics have never been studied in living specimens. Reproduction in blobfish is almost completely unknown. Females apparently guard eggs sitting on them until they hatch. This parental care is unusual among deep-sea fish. The energetic cost of guarding eggs for weeks or months without feeding seems prohibitive. How do females survive this brooding period? Do males provide any parental care? These basic reproductive questions lack answers. The ecological role of blobfish is unclear. What do they eat? What eats them? How do they interact with other deep-sea species? Population sizes and distribution ranges are unknown. Are blobfish rare or simply rarely encountered? Their habitat is difficult to study, making even basic ecology mysterious. Most puzzling is why evolution produced such a vulnerable body plan. Gelatinous tissue that catastrophically fails during pressure changes seems like a design flaw. Yet blobfish have persisted for millions of years. What advantage does extreme tissue compliance provide that outweighs the vulnerability to pressure changes? The blobfish demonstrates that adaptations perfectly suited to one environment can appear absurd in another. Their biology is optimized for crushing pressure, and when removed from that environment, their bodies literally cannot maintain structure, showing how specialized evolution can be and how little we understand about physiological trade-offs in extreme environments. Case number 10, Greenland shark, Somniosis microcephalus. Greenland sharks are the longest living vertebrates on Earth, with lifespans exceeding 400 years. One specimen was estimated at 512 years old, making it alive during Shakespeare's time. These massive sharks, reaching over 20 feet, grow extremely slowly and don't reach sexual maturity until around 150 years of age. Scientists cannot explain how their cells resist aging or what biochemical mechanisms allow such extreme longevity. The shark's metabolism is extraordinarily slow. Living in near-freezing Arctic waters, they move sluggishly and grow less than half an inch per year. This slow lifestyle should limit lifespan to decades, not centuries. How cellular processes continue functioning for hundreds of years without accumulating fatal damage defies current understanding of aging. Their DNA repair mechanisms must be extraordinarily efficient, but have not been fully characterized. Greenland sharks are apex predators, despite being slow swimmers. Stomach contents reveal they eat seals and fish that can swim much faster than the shark can pursue. How do these lethargic sharks catch agile prey? One theory suggests they ambush sleeping seals, but this is unproven. Another theory proposes they scavenge dead animals. But fresh prey in stomachs indicates they hunt successfully using methods science hasn't identified. Nearly all Greenland sharks are blind or severely vision impaired. A parasitic coat pod attaches to their eyes, causing damage that destroys sight. This parasite infestation is nearly universal, yet doesn't seem to impair the shark's hunting ability. How do blind sharks navigate and hunt in the dark Arctic waters? What sensory systems compensate for lost vision? The sensory ecology of Greenland sharks is barely studied. All Greenland shark tissue contains high levels of trimethylamine oxide, making their flesh toxic to mammals, including humans. The compound prevents the shark's proteins from being disrupted by pressure and cold, but makes them inedible. Indigenous peoples discovered that fermenting the meat breaks down toxins, making it barely edible as the Icelandic dish hakarl. Why Greenland sharks evolved to be toxic when most Arctic predators are not is unexplained. Reproduction has never been observed. Females are ovoviviparous, giving birth to live young, but gestation length, litter size, and mating behavior are unknown. Where do they give birth? How often? These fundamental reproductive questions remain unanswered after centuries of human contact with the species. Most mysterious is their evolution. Greenland sharks appear related to sleeper sharks found in warmer waters. How and when did they adapt to Arctic conditions? Did cold water adaptation enable extreme longevity, or did longevity evolve for other reasons? The evolutionary history is unclear. The Greenland shark proves that even large predators interacting with humans for centuries can remain profoundly mysterious. Their extreme longevity, cellular resistance to aging toxic flesh, and blind hunting success all defy explanation, showing that the Arctic Ocean keeps biological secrets as well as the tropical abyss.